You don't rise to the level of your goals. You default to the level of your habits. Most of us know what we want: better health, deeper relationships, stronger faith, more focused work, a calmer inner life. If you're listening to Sisu Lab, you probably don't have a shortage of goals and intentions. But if you look under the surface of your life right now, what you actually find isn't just goals. It's habits. The way you reach for your phone in the morning without thinking, the way you respond to stress, the way you talk to yourself when you fail, the way you show up in meetings when you're tired, the way you either bring things up or bury them. Those aren't isolated choices. They're patterns, they're grooves, they're habits. The uncomfortable part is that your habits are quietly building a life that you may or may not recognize as the one you say you want. You can have world-class goals and very average habits, and your habits will win every single time. In the last episode, we talked about excuses and what happens when you stop giving your circumstances all of the power. Over the next few weeks, I want to stop and take a look at habits. I want to really deep dive and take a look at the systems that carry you when motivation, willpower, and good intentions run out. This episode is not about shaming you for the habits you don't like. It's about helping you see them clearly so that you can start building new ones on purpose. I want to take some time to talk through 3 ideas. 1, why your habits are really about who you believe you are. 2, why just trying harder usually doesn't work for long. And 3, how to choose one habit to work on without overwhelming yourself. And then I'm going to leave you with one question, one very small invitation for this week. Your habits are less a reflection of what you want and more a reflection of who you think you are. We usually try to change our lives by starting new goals. We say things like, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to read more. I want to be more present with my family. I want to be a more focused leader. All of those goals are good, but goals just point you in a direction. Underneath every goal is a quiet identity sentence. Sentences like, I'm the kind of person who never follows through. I'm always all over the place. I'm not disciplined. I'm not a healthy person. I'm not a natural leader. Those sentences don't just stay in your head. They leak into your habits. If you see yourself as the scattered one, you will unconsciously build a life that matches that. If you see yourself as the reliable one, you will quietly do what it takes not to drop the ball. If you see yourself as the big idea person, but not the execution person, you will keep proving yourself right. We like to believe that we behave our way into an identity, but a lot of the time, our identity is what's giving our behavior instructions. Without realizing it, you start making choices that protect that identity instead of testing it. There's a reason why this is powerful. Work on identity-based habits has shown that our behaviors tend to follow our self-story. We default to actions that feel consistent with who we believe we are. When your goal and your identity conflict, your identity usually wins. If you've been telling yourself, I'm not disciplined, your brain is going to filter your experience to keep that story intact. Every miss becomes proof. Every failure feels like confirmation, not just information. If you don't upgrade the story you believe about who you are, your habits will keep dragging you back to who you were. So instead of starting with, what habits do I need to reach my goals? Start with, what kind of person do I need to become? Do I want to become? What would someone like that do today? Not how do I become a runner, but what would a person who takes care of their body do with the next 20 minutes? Not how do I become a patient parent, but what would a patient parent do with this next very hard moment? Not how do I become a focused leader, but what would a focused leader do with this next hour? Habits stop being this overwhelming renovation project and become small, repeated votes for the identity you actually want. And if it feels confronting, that's okay. It should be. Identity is not a life sentence. It's a story. And the beautiful thing about stories is that they can always be edited and they can always be rewritten. You don't fix a broken system with more intensity. You fix it with a different design. Most of us respond to bad habits with a 3-step ritual. 1, guilt. I can't believe I keep doing this. 2, a motivation burst. That's it. I'm done. Tomorrow, everything changes. Or 3, it's the all or nothing plan, the new diet, the new everything starting on Monday. And for a few days, sometimes even a couple of weeks, it feels like it's working. You're up earlier, you're reading more, you're present, you're locked in. Then life happens. Stress hits, travel hits, sickness hits. The kids get off schedule. Something at work explodes and your system falls apart. And it's not because you're weak. It's not because you aren't capable. It's because your plan was built on a version of you with unlimited energy and 0 interruptions. Trying harder is not a bad thing. Effort does indeed matter. But trying harder inside the same design gives you the same results with more frustration. Our brains love the path of least resistance. Behavioral science has been telling us this for years. We tend to repeat what's easy, obvious, and rewarded. The most disciplined people are often just the ones who have quietly made the right thing easier to do and the wrong thing harder to do. So instead of asking, how do I force myself to do this? A better question is, how do I shape my environment so the behavior that I want becomes the default instead of the exception? That can look a lot of different ways for all of us, but it can look like moving the apps that steal your time off of your home screen, putting your journal on your pillow so you have to move it to go to bed, setting a 25-minute timer and telling yourself, just this block, then I'm allowed to stop. Putting your running shoes in the middle of the floor so you literally have to trip over your own intention. None of those examples are heroic. They're small things, small design tweaks that admit something true. You're human. You will default to what's easy, obvious, and available. Wisdom isn't pretending you're above that. Wisdom is designing around it. So if you've been beating yourself up for not trying hard enough, I want you to take a breath. There may be places where your effort needs to increase. But for a lot of us, the bigger gain is not more force, it's better design. You're not lazy, you're human. So let's design for that. The fastest way to fail at changing your life is to try to change your whole life at once. When we finally get serious about habits, you know what we do? We make a list. Sleep, phone use, exercise, diet, prayer or reflection, reading, work focus, family time, or even money. And then we decide, this is the week I become a completely different person. That doesn't make you disciplined. It makes you exhausted. What you need isn't a full renovation. You just need a door. One habit that becomes the doorway into a different way of living. Here's a simple way to choose it. First step is very simple. Just ask, where is the pain showing up the most right now? Is it your energy, your focus, your relationships, your sense of peace, your integrity with yourself? You have to name it. Step 2 is to ask yourself, what is one small behavior that touches that pain point every day? For your energy, it might be something like when you go to bed or how you wake up. If focus is the pain point, it might be what you do in the first 10 minutes of your workday. If it's your relationships, it may be whether you have any protected, no phone time with the people you love. If it's peace, it might be whether you intentionally check in on your own soul, or if you just collapse, or if you just make time to just be. Step 3 is make it ridiculously small and ridiculously specific. Not I will get my life together, but something like I will read 2 pages before bed, 5 minutes of stretching after I brush my teeth, 1 sentence of gratitude at the end of each day. Or it could look like no phone for the first 10 minutes after I wake up, or 1 10-minute distraction-free block with my kid every evening. You're not lowering the bar because you're weak. You're lowering the bar because you're wise. Big, consistent change is always built on small, consistent decisions. Over the next couple of episodes, we're going to go deeper into this, especially on how to build environments and systems around the habits you choose. And I'm going to tell you about a 30-day challenge. It's a habit challenge that I'm building so that we can practice some of this together. You don't have to wait to start becoming someone different. You can start this week with 1 habit, 1 small vote for the person that you're becoming. I said at the beginning that you don't rise to the level of your goals. You default to the level of your habits. You can have beautiful intentions and a life that doesn't look anything like them. So here's the question for this week. If someone could only see your habits, not your dreams, not your plans, not your social media, what story would they say your life is telling right now? And then a second question. What is 1 small, specific habit you're willing to practice this week that would start to change that story? Not 10 habits, just 1. 1 way you start your day. 1 way you end your day. 1 way you connect with the people who matter the most. 1 small way you treat your body, your mind, or your soul better. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get it going. Thank you for listening to this episode of Sisu Lab. If this episode sparked something in you, share it with 1 person who's tired of setting goals and ready to build a different kind of life from the ground up. 1 habit at a time. I'll see you in the next one.